guys, and welcome back to another video. It has been a while since I have filmed in Atlanta's kitchen. We've just been super busy with getting ready for the trip, packing, filming other videos, but it is time for another video. And this is going to be a little bit of a different one compared to my usual state foods. This one is going to be recreating a recipe that one of our subscribers has sent. This is more of a challenge style video, so if you guys are an OG or you've been around for a while, you will know the absolute legend Edward Olsen. He has sent me a video to do, and he sent me an entire box of the ingredients that we need for this recipe. So this is a surprise. I have no idea the food that I'm making or anything to do with it. Okay, he said, "Dear Atlanta, I would like to challenge you to recreate a snack that I know you've said you don't really care for. Oreo cookies." That's right, I don't like Oreos, so we'll see if the homemade version's better. I will link the recipe of a well-known pastry chef from Bon Appetit magazine who figured out how to make them. She uses a recipe for great tasting homemade chocolate biscuit cookies and shows you how she came up with the recreation and finishes with the final recipe. Do you accept? Edward. Edward, I do accept. Let's see if your recipe is better than the store-bought Oreos, because as you know, I'm not the biggest fan of Oreos. Alright, let's unbox what we have in here and see all the ingredients and supplies we have to make it. Oh, okay, so the first thing I see is some silicone molds. Oh my gosh! Silicone putty. Wait, am I actually making the silicone molds from scratch? What the heck? Okay, here's our putty. We've got white and blue, part A and part B. Apparently we're not supposed to eat it, which is disappointing because one of my favorite snacks. Then we've got some black cocoa powder. Wow, this is very dark. Here's all supplies that he gave me. Now I'm gonna watch the video and yeah. I'm going to watch this off camera though, and then we'll have the link to the video in the description so you guys can go watch it for yourselves. Okay, so I just watched the video and it looks like we have to start off by preparing our mold, ready for the Oreo cookies. So let's look at the instructions. So, measure equal parts of A, white, and B, blue by weight or volume. Thicker molds are stronger, but less flexible. Okay, so I'm literally just going to mix. Yeah, these are the exact same amount of grams. So I'm just gonna mix them both like that. That should work. Mix both parts and knead thoroughly until a uniform color is achieved without streaks. So time to mix this. Okay, so it's time to make the Oreo putty molds. So apparently you roll it into a ball. You find an Oreo that has good printing on it and it's not ruined. I'm pretty sure you snap it in half. Let's get rid of that so that it's this proper shape. This is turning out to be a little more work than I thought, because I just thought I'd be making a cookie. I didn't know it was like fully doing the Oreo pattern. So this should be interesting. And we've got to press down on the Oreo without breaking it. So I'm just going to continue this process with all the Oreos, with all the molds that it allows me to make with this. Guys, I have a confession. It's actually the next day, and the reason that I didn't continue filming yesterday is because it was actually really late in the afternoon when I started. The molds had to sit for like an hour and a half, and so by the time they'd finished, it was getting darker and we actually all weren't feeling that well anyway, so we decided to stop and continue today. So we've still got 6 Oreos, guys. I mean, who knows? We could be... I think we're gonna have way too many Oreos by the end of this. I mean, look how many. Let's find the recipe and start making the Oreo dough. Okay, so we need to go get the flours. So we need to start by sifting together 1 cup of all-purpose flour and half a cup of bread flour. So that's exactly what I'm gonna do. Perfect. Okay, 1 cup all-purpose flour. And now we're gonna be doing half a cup of bread flour. And then we give it a good sift without spilling it over the edge. Okay, 3 tablespoons of black cocoa. 1, 2, 3. So 1 teaspoon, 2 tablespoons. Okay, half a teaspoon of kosher salt, half a teaspoon of baking soda. Okay, let's give that a mix. So it's already melting it. Oh my gosh, I love how quickly that thing heats up. It's actually so good. Okay, our ice bath is ready. The butter needs to brown and sputter, apparently. Okay, so the butter is definitely starting to sputter. I don't even know what that means, but it's got to brown and fully melt. And then we've got to put the pot in an ice bath so that the butter comes back to room temperature and hardens again. I don't know what the point is. I think it's like removing the water or something. I don't really know what anything we're doing means, so that's great. I think it's brown. So we're going to put it in there, turn that off. And we've got to stir it till it comes back to room temperature. So I'm just going to leave that to sit for a little bit, or to like just hop in here for a little bit so that it comes back to room temperature, and then we'll see what we have to do next. Okay, now we have to beat the butter in the mixer. Okay, so we need to measure out 155 grams. Now I need to measure 2/3 of a cup of granulated sugar. So I'm pretty sure, yeah, 1/3, we just need to measure out 2 of those. 2/3 cup of granulated sugar and 1/4 cup of light brown sugar. Okay, now we're gonna give this a beat. This smells actually really good. Like the brown butter, for some reason, brown butter smells like caramel. And it's actually so good. The consistency of the butter is so different. Okay, now we need to add in a teaspoon of vanilla. Okay, I'm just gonna have it on low so the ingredients don't fly everywhere. Turn it up slightly. Okay, that's kind of going everywhere, like I said, but it's okay. Here's the dough. It's very crumbly, if I'm being honest. Now we need to measure out 9 grams of dough and press them into the cookies. Okay, that's good. Okay, apparently they only need to be this big. Oh, that's actually perfect. Never mind. Oh, that's actually so good. So the first one is done. Let's do the rest. Okay, so I finished with each cookie. Now we're going to put them in the freezer for 10 minutes just to harden so that I can take them out of the molds easy without ruining the cookie shape. Okay, so the first batch has come out of the oven and they completely lost their shape. And that's really weird because I froze them, like the lady said, for as long as she said, and did exactly what she said, and they've lost their shape. So I don't know if the recipe is slightly different. That was our first one. That was a fail. Now I'm going to try cook them in the mold. The lady in the video that I watched said that you could put the molds in the oven, and I assume it's the same for this, because that's what she said for the molds. So I'm going to put them in the oven for 15 minutes and we'll see what happens. Okay, while I'm figuring all this out, I'm going to start with the filling so that we can at least get that done. So for the filling, we now need to melt 50 grams of coconut oil. So let's get that ready. Okay, so now I'm going to grate some raw cocoa butter, ready to melt with the coconut oil. Now I'm going to add in 50 grams of that cocoa butter with the coconut oil, and we're going to melt that together. Now we've got to let it sit and cool to room temperature. Alright, so we now need to combine 100 grams of cocoa powder with this now that it's at room temperature. And then we also need to add some vanilla and a pinch of salt. Okay, now we need to give this a stir. See if it's the proper consistency. It's not as white as the regular filling, but that's okay. It'll probably still taste exactly the same. Okay, now we're going to roll it out between 2 bits of parchment paper. So let's get the first one down with all the filling in it. Press it down flat and get our rolling pin. And then we're going to roll it. Out of all of those cookies, we ended up with enough for 2 Oreos. So I've cut out our icing circles and the Oreos have cooled. And so we're now just gonna put that in there and then the other one on top. And we've got an Oreo. That actually looks so bad. Alright guys, now it's time to try the Oreos, see if we compared. Unfortunately, Denzel ate all the Oreos from yesterday while he was playing Fortnite, so we don't have anything to compare it to, but that's okay. I think I remember what an Oreo tastes like. So, ready? 3, 2, 1. Pretty good. I mean, it doesn't have that crunch like an Oreo, but I mean, it's still pretty good. Yeah. I'd give that a solid 7 out of 10. Especially for not liking Oreos. Anyway.
Do you like it better than normal Oreos?
Okay, now time for the big question. Do I like this more than normal Oreos? The answer is yes. It actually tastes way better. I feel like the flavor is definitely more like caramelized almost. It doesn't have that like artificial flavor. Time for the snap test. I definitely didn't just stick it to one side and not to the other. Thank you so much to Edward. Make sure you guys show him some love down in the comments for sending me this challenge to do. And I'll see you guys next time. Bye!